California is going through a period of drought. The water flow from the Colorado River has decreased significantly, and this affects everybody's water supply in California. What would happen if one morning we wake up and there is no more water to make coffee when we go to the kitchen? Or there is no more water to wash our faces when we go to the restroom? Or no more water to take a shower? The misuse of water and lack of natural water flows has made the drought a complicated and problematic situation for all districts in California.
For them now, it's been so dry there for so long. Officials today declared what's being called an exceptional drought.
This is the first time exceptional drought has ever been declared in California.
Today, I'm declaring a drought emergency in the state of California. It's important to awaken all Californians to this serious matter.
Tonight, the president today visited Fresno, and the issue, the crisis that brought him there, is of top importance up and down the state of California and elsewhere, and that's the drought.
We could have the drought end today, and the city might not be feeling the positive effects of the drought ending.
Water deficit in California has led to a change in state policy that has forced the county of Los Angeles to restrict water usage. However, the restaurant industry has been able to blunt those restrictions. Here in Long Beach, it is the Long Beach Board of Water Commissioners that is responsible to see and look at the differences between water usage and water policies, and they are the ones that can fix and can apply new restrictions. It was the Long Beach Board of Water Commissioners that decided to take additional steps to conserve water. It was a board meeting with citizens coming to the room and giving their opinions and listening to what all the stakeholders had to say about the water and how they felt about water supply. That day, they voted unanimously to declare the imminent water supply shortage for the city of Long Beach. These changes affected everybody, including the restaurant industry. The question is, how does Long Beach restrict the usage of water in restaurants?
Here in Long Beach, we have a couple of, they're called prohibited uses of water. They're not just limited to restaurants, although right now we do have one prohibition that's specific to restaurants, and you might have heard of it. That's they cannot serve water without the customer asking first. So you can't just have water waiting for you at the table. The customer has to ask for it. That's the only prohibited use that's especially for restaurants. For all residential and commercial customers, they have to abide by our watering hours. So they can only water on Monday, Thursdays, or Saturdays. And they have to water before 9 a.m. or after 4 p.m. They can't water excessively. If they want to wash off their sidewalks, they have to use pressure washers. So that's a couple of our prohibited uses of water. And then what happens if a restaurant or any other business does not abide by that is we send out 3 letters. So we rely on our residents to send in anonymous reports. They can call a hotline number, they can do it online. We even have a mobile app where you can report if you see one of these prohibited uses going on. After we get 3 reports in, we mail a letter each time, just letting the restaurant know, we've heard that you might be serving water without people asking. After the 3rd letter in a 6-month period, we do have the ability to fine them. And the fine charges depend on our water supply. So right now we're in an imminent supply shortage, so we're not in a shortage yet. It just means we think we will be. And so right now the charge would be $150. If our water supply were to be reduced and we were to go into more of a shortage, the fine would increase. So it would go $250, $350, and so on. Depends on their usage, so they are charged a certain amount for the first billing units is how we calculate water. So for the first 5 billing units, they're charged a set rate, so $2.50 per billing unit. If they use over 5 billing units, so 5 to 10 billing units a month, they're then charged a slightly higher rate. And so we have a tier 1, a tier 2, and a tier 3 usage. But for our commercial customers, they're just charged $2.53, I believe, right now. We have certain stages, like I said before. Right now we have declared an imminent supply shortage. So that allows us to put in more prohibited uses of water. So if we were not in an imminent supply shortage, we would not have that prohibition regarding the drinking water at restaurants. So the worse that the drought gets, we can instill more strict rules against commercial, residential, regardless. So for instance, our watering days, Monday, Thursday, Saturday, if the drought continued and got worse, we could reduce it down to 2 days. We have full discretion to be able to install new prohibitions.
How do restaurants support these regulations? How do they apply them into the restaurants, and how strong is the state into fulfilling these regulations? Hokkaido Seafood Buffet has 4 branches: Burbank, Encino, West LA, and the headquarters here in Long Beach. How does this restaurant helps to solve our drought problem? How the workers here in the restaurant approach water? Do you know if there are specific rules for them to follow or something?
To safety, because we drink water, we serve water, and it should be safe. I mean, our water is clean and the level of the chemicals are safe here. Because as I said before, we do have checkups for ingredients in the water, I may say that way. But of course, do not waste any water. We know that, and as well, we are telling to our guests to not waste any water. So basically, we have no waste policy on the food and in the water, and for electricity, for everything. Because we need to be good stewards of the things we have, including the water as well.
Okay, do you know about the rule that it's now being applied since like February, that you cannot serve water to everybody, to every customer, unless they ask for it?
We do serve water if they ask only. Yeah, we don't serve water to everyone. If they ask for water, we will serve it.
Like, how does the restaurant gets its water, if you know how all of this is?
We do have a water, I do believe it's centralized, but we have checkups each month. Somebody is coming and checking our water, where we get it from, and when it goes out, it should be served at the level of safe chemicals. So it's not.
A lack of management skills and no coordination between the water department and managers from the restaurant industry leads to weak policies and a greater chance for the drought to become worse. But how about citizens? How well are we informed? Do you know where your water comes from?
I have no idea where my water comes from. I know it's probably underground, right? Because California is a desert, but I don't know where it comes from.
Maybe a recycling plant for water.
Do you have to pay water monthly?
No, I just I pay rent, but my utilities are included, so I don't pay for water specifically, which is probably why I waste more water than I should.
Like, do you think it's too cheap or too expensive to afford water in Long Beach?
It's pretty economical. It's pretty good. When there's maybe 1 or 2 people in the household, maybe about $10-20 a month.
Would you use less water if it was more costly, or you would still use the same amount?
I definitely would use less. I would probably shorten my showers. And I know that that's how a lot of people waste water. And like, I probably wouldn't wash my car as often.
Okay. Comparing the price for water, is that cheap towards anything else that you buy monthly or pay monthly?
Yeah, it's one of the cheaper bills that I pay. Yes.
Pricing would not be effective as immediately as these prohibited uses. These are almost immediate. So, if tomorrow our supply dropped, a huge percentage, the first thing we would do is put in more restrictions before we would just increase the water rate.
California's drought period requires a major attention to water usage and strict regulations. A better approach towards our drought problem could help to make this dry period shorter and get our water reserves